I just finished watching the BBC documentary Thailand, The Dark Side of Paradise. And I would like to give an honest opinion as a Thai person because I've seen a lot of opinions around on the internet from expats who live in Thailand. I think most of the opinions about this documentary is that it's really bad in general and bad for Thailand. After watching it, I feel like there were some good things and there were some bad things, and I just want to review this documentary fairly. The bad. I think the number one bad thing about this documentary is that it totally defeats its purpose. I tend to believe that this documentary wants to shine light on some of the problems that is going on in Thailand. So it went into this red light district. It talked about the problem of the sex industry in Thailand, which is not legal, and yet it's operated openly, and it seems to be somehow controlled by the law enforcement itself as well. So I think the premise was actually quite promising into shining light on this topic. Having said that, I feel like the lens in which the BBC used for this documentary is more of a colonialism sort of perspective. Like most of the people that were interviewed were the expats, and the Thai people that were interviewed there were kept to a minimum. None of the Thai people got to say what was wrong with Thailand. I mean, the name of the documentary is The Dark Side of Thailand, but none of the Thai people got to say what they thought was the dark side themselves. And again, when it comes to Thailand, I think there's already so many stereotypes about this country being the hub for this sex industry. So when BBC came here to do this documentary focusing on this topic again, I don't know if it helps or doesn't it actually aggravate this sort of stereotype. I think it reinforces the stereotypes of the country even more, and the fact that it doesn't ask Thai people also means that it doesn't actually care about the opinions of the people who actually live here, who actually see the problem from the first-handed person perspective. I think the BBC needs to look into their intention in doing this documentary. From my point of view right now, I think it's more like they want rating rather than to help. I'm not assuming that any big network needs to come to a developing country and help or anything, but I think I'm asking for some sort of compassion.
So I have one, it didn't happen to me personally, but it did happen to one of my friends.
At the beginning, there was this scene where they were sitting on the table. So the host and with some other expats living in Thailand. And there is this one woman. She was saying that her friend was in the massage shop and he was blindfolded, which is very strange to be blindfolded in the massage shop. And at some point, they swapped his masseur with someone who is underage and recorded that to bribe him. I mean, this thing could happen, but for this sort of documentary, I feel like it was a bit cheating that the person who told this story is not the person whose story happened to himself. This is someone who knows of the story and who told the story. So it's a bit of like he said, she said. So anyone could actually fabricate this story to make things dramatic. I also think that the title is a bit misleading. I have discussed this with some of my friends in the UK who watched this documentary, and he said that probably this documentary should have been called The Dark Side of the British Tourist in Thailand. I don't necessarily agree that it has to go in that direction specifically, because the documentary does show some of the dark sides of Thailand with or without the British tourists themselves. But I do think that, yeah, the fact that this documentary is shown is called The Dark Side of Thailand itself is an attempt to go viral, is an attempt to clickbait people. Whereas when you actually watch it, I think it's more of a dark side of tourism in Thailand and the perils that the tourists could be falling into while traveling. There is also this scene that I think that there may be some mistranslation going on, whether intentional or unintentional. But this mistranslation, I think, created this sense of shock. So the host who was interviewing a sex worker, the host asked her if she's got any UK tourists as clients. And she said, yes, I've got some UK tourists and they are young. I like that they are young as well. And then she was saying in Thai that เป็นเด็กๆหนุ่ม
เป็นเด็กน้อยด้วยค่ะ ส่วนใหญ่จะได้หนุ่มๆนะคะ
which in Thai เด็กๆหนุ่ม could mean children, could mean someone very young, including teenagers, but it could also mean someone in their 20s, 30s, 40s, or even 50s. Men that still have the virality and youthfulness. And then it was cut to the host, and she said,
teenagers, British teenagers.
and I thought for a moment, this was very interesting because from the Thai woman perspective, she didn't actually say the word teenager. It might also be because the word teenager doesn't actually exist in Thailand, because the word teenager in English means 13 to 19, right? Like in Thailand, we call a number from 13 to 19 differently. So we don't have the word teen to call teenagers. So I wonder if for the sex worker, when she said young, maybe the age group is maybe like higher, 20, 25, or even 30, I don't know. But the fact that the scene was cut to the English host and she said teenager, I have to question their veracity, their authenticity in translation in this bit, whether they intentionally mistranslated it or exaggerated it perhaps to create drama. Another bad thing about this documentary is the fact that a few people that were on the show, mainly the British influencers who appear on the show, claim that they were solicited into doing this without really understanding the real intention of the show. So Mike Yu came out to apologize. I don't even think that he needed to apologize because he was only saying good things about Thailand. But he was saying that he didn't know at all that the theme would be the dark side of Thailand. He thought that the theme would be, expat life in Thailand. And there's another UK guy, Mac TV. He said that his words were chopped up and they put it together to make it sound like he was saying things he didn't say at all. And at one point he said, at one point in a documentary, it said that he wanted to meet them at this red light district street, where in reality, he didn't actually wanted to meet them there. He suggested to meet them somewhere else, but they suggested him to meet at that red light district. In the documentary, they claimed that it was his idea. So I think that was a little bit mean and unethical of the producers, if that really happened. And in some way, I can't believe what these influencers said, because I was in a reality TV show myself years ago. I was in this Dutch reality TV show, and the premise of the show is that I had to show this one Dutch person around Bangkok at the time, and we were planning to go to the weekend market. But when the day arrived, it turned out that they couldn't get the permit to film in the weekend market. So they came to me and they said, okay, we had this great idea because we couldn't get the permit, but we would go to the fishing farm, the fishing, like the place where you go fishing instead for fun. And I was like, how could I do that? Because I don't fish. Like, it's not something that I do in real life. This is going to be a lie. They're like, oh, it's okay. You can just talk to the camera and say this line. And they gave me this line, and the line went like this, like, so I've never really done this, but my friend who has done it said it was a good idea. So I thought it would be a good idea to try it with a couch surfer. So yeah, that's what we did. That's what I did. I didn't feel proud of it, but I also realized that when it comes to reality TV show, not everything is the truth. And I did feel like I was manipulated into doing quite a few things in that show. So I totally believe when these British influencers would come out and say that a lot of things were spliced together, a lot of things were manipulated into fitting the narratives that the BBC documentary wanted to portray. Now, the good. Before we go to the good, just make sure that you click the like button and subscribe to this channel if you like this. And you can also support this channel on buymeacoffee.com/realthailander. Thank you. The number one good thing about this documentary is that it lays criticisms towards Thailand. I know that sounds a bit weird, but in Thailand, there is this culture of losing face. And I think that both the Thai people and the people that live here, the expats, I think sometimes would put Thailand to a certain extent on a pedestal. So when someone threatens Thailand or criticizes Thailand for a certain thing, you would see that there is this sense of Thai fragility and people would just come up and try to defend Thailand, which is really beautiful. But I think the thing that we need to be careful about is that some of the things are necessary. Some of the constructive criticism is needed. And I think if we are too fragile, then we won't let anything end. Every time something happens, every time someone says something negative about Thailand, we would just react and not take time and respond to it. So I think in some way, more criticisms can be appreciated to counter this extra losing face culture. I know that it's hard because when someone, says something bad about Thailand, I also feel upset and angry as well. But at times we have to realize that we are from this country, but we also aren't the country itself. We are also the people that is in it. So this attachment would only bring us lots of suffering, I think. It asks questions about the law enforcement in Thailand. I mean, I know that it's quite hard for a show from other countries to dig deep into this sort of area because it's out of their jurisdiction. But I like the fact that it asks the question about how arbitrary the law enforcement is in Thailand. The one thing that it asked about for sure in this show is the fact that, sex work is not legal in Thailand, yet it's out there in the open and everyone can see it. And actually the law enforcement people themselves is there to help protect or safeguard the operation of these businesses. I like that it asks this question. I wish that it would ask further question about what if this sex industry was legalized, like what effect should it have in Thailand? Would the people actually like it that it's legalized, for example? I think this is something that has been the talk of the town in the last 5 or 10 years. There are activists who want sex work to be legalized because they think, okay, we can curtail the operation of this business better, the tax would be collected, we can get rid of child abuse, and the workers would also get health care and all that. Yet, there are some people in the industry that wouldn't want this to be legal because somehow they are fearful for their reputation. I think there are some girls that you would see in the documentary itself that they would try to hide their face. I think partly because they know that it's illegal, but partly because they don't want their faces to be remembered forever as someone who is in this profession. So I think that there's a lot of girls that would prefer that this is not the real profession. There would be no trace of them working in this profession ever in their life. So they would just rather keep it a hidden secret. So yeah, I think some things like this could have been discussed as well in this documentary. But I think it's a good start that this documentary is asking questions about the law enforcement role in this profession.
Timon is overstayed and they were...
And he had no cash left.
Oh my God.
Being detained there for 2 weeks before being deported.
There's a scene that the host went to this truck carrying people that were about to be detained. And one of the persons that was about to be detained was this foreign man. And he said that he was going to be detained because he overstayed and he didn't have money to pay for his visa. And he explained that when his visa was expired, he was in the hospital. I think he had some injury or getting sick or something. And then the host said this line, which is quite interesting. And I think it's something that is worth pondering about for the Thai people. It feels like Thailand is full of double standards. Some police seem to turn a blind eye on the illegal sex industry, but if you overstay your visa even by 2 minutes and can't pay the fine, then you're put in jail. Another good thing is that, well, I like the opening scene because I think it's very well apt and very, I don't know, like quite a good way to introduce that this is an English person coming abroad, coming to Thailand now. So there was a scene when the host was walking into Khao San Road and she was saying, sorry. And to me, this reminds me of the UK. This reminds me of the behavior of English people that like to say sorry. British people like to say sorry for no reason sometimes. So I think this is quite well apt, and I think it's a really good opening scene in the show to tell, all right, an English person has arrived. I also quite like the scene where the host was talking to this one sex worker whose name is Annie, probably not her real name. Annie was saying that she wanted love with a foreign man. So in working in this profession, I think her hope is to find someone so that she could find love, which would lead her to a better life. And I think it hits me really hard because I know such people. Like I know several people that wanted a better life and they couldn't find it anywhere else. I think they tried. And I think one of the ways that these people would think about a better life is to move a country totally. Of course, like sometimes it's not a realistic dream, but you could see the struggle in these people. And I like the fact that it questions love and the need for financial stability itself. Like, what is exactly love? Not just Annie. I think a lot of people also aim to marry up, aim to marry someone who would bring them wealth, who would bring their livelihood a bit better. So to have someone who openly says that she's looking for love and she's looking for love that would lead her a better life is in some ways sad, but refreshing. I think it puts this narrative of sex works, finding love, finding a better life, taking care of your kids and your family at home. You know, as a Thai person, sometimes these women were having to take care of so many people back home in Isan, back home in the north of Thailand or whatever. And they were just hoping that they would find someone rich, which wasn't something that I think most people in the world would be proud about saying. And yet it's real to her. And yet this puts the narrative in the gray area. And I quite like that. So overall, as a Thai person, I wish that the documentary was going to talk about something else as well. Like there's so many sides of Thailand that sometimes was under portrayed. There's just so many things. And I think our minds tend to focus on what we are familiar with. The funny thing is that I've done 2 episodes on the dark sides of Thailand coincidentally before this documentary came out, and I didn't even think about this, sex industry one bit. So my mind wasn't here at all. So in some way, like I'm thankful that this documentary came out so that it reminded me of like, oh, okay, there's problem with sex industry and law enforcement and all the gray area when it comes to this. There's people that were looking for love, but at the same time, they were struggling to find love in a normal way, which would help them have a better life as well. Another thing that comes up, not from watching this documentary itself, but from reading the comments regarding this documentary, is that I think there seems to be this gender war going on right now in the West between men and women, which I'm not going to go deep into because I'm not an expert, but I could see like a lot of anger from both sides, and you could see the narrative of the comment section that I think a lot of men think that this documentary is done based on the ideology of woke women. And yeah, I think like the last thing I want to leave in this video is that I think when we watch a documentary in general, especially when it's a documentary that's done in this sort of way, like Dark Side of Thailand, Dark Side of Ibiza, I think we have to be aware of exaggerations. I think there's a lot of exaggerations that could be going on while, writing the script for these sort of things, because exaggerations usually get more attention from people. But thank you for publishing this documentary. It did allow me to see more things. I just wish that more Thai people could, get to talk about things. I just wish that the dark side of Thailand would be synthesized, would be discussed with more Thai people. But I do understand this is a British TV show, so Thailand should just do one itself.